is the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. To learn more about Next Level Loan Officers, go to becomενl.com.
Hey y'all, Sean Zalmanoff, co-founder of Next Level Loan Officers, coming at you today with the number one podcast for loan officers by loan officers, and that is the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. And I told you on the last podcast that I had incredibly big news to share. You're hearing this before it's even Facebook official. If you're watching this week, if you're listening to us on one of the many platforms that we're on, and oh yes, by the way, I am repping our new community shirt. If you don't know about community yet, that's okay, but you will very soon because it is game changing for the industry. And while we're doing game changing things for the industry inside of Next Level, I have made a game changing, life changing decision actually for myself. You know, I talked about last week, I was talking about Jack Welch. And when he was CEO of GE, I'd shared with you that he decided to sell every business that they were not number one or number two at. And that meant companies that were hundreds of millions of dollars profitable, they exited during his tenure because if he couldn't be number one or two, he had to go. So I've been in the mortgage business for 20 years. January 2nd of 2002 was my very first day in the industry. Since then, I've had an amazing career. I've worked for a mortgage broker, actually a couple mortgage brokers. I worked for a mortgage bank. I opened up my own mortgage brokerage company. And for the last the last 13 years, I have had an amazing career at the mortgage bank I work for. And it has been an awesome ride. I have enjoyed almost every bit of it, but just being honest, and not everything's always great. You got to be honest. Nobody, we all know that that's not going to be the case with everything being fantastic all the way. That aside, I had to make a decision, and I have been an executive here for a while. I've been a regional vice president. I've grown a really, really large region. The last couple of years, we've closed north of 300 million in loans. And for over 8 years now, I have gotten away from something that I love the most. And what I loved the most was originating loans. I loved helping people. I loved being in the trenches right next to all of you that are listening right now. And I've really missed that. The last time there was a downturn in the industry in 2018, I tripled the size of our region. We grew substantially. And so there's another downturn in the market, and that's what I should be doing right now. But I've started with Jack Welch that I mentioned last time. And so as I was reading a book about him and understanding how he wanted to be the best in everything he did, I realized that where I'm at in my life right now, the things going on in my personal life, where we're accelerating next level to, and what I wanted to do, that I wasn't the best mortgage exec anymore. And I realized that my time had come. And so a few weeks ago, I made an announcement, and I went in to see the president of our company, and I made my formal resignation in the next week or so. That from when you're listening to this, I will be back to working for myself. I'm opening up my own company, and I'm going back to doing what I love, getting belly to belly with agents and borrowers, helping them and implementing all of the strategies that we teach in Next Level. Again, I have nothing but great things to say about my company, the grace with which I have been allowed to exit, the plan that I put in place, and how things are working. I'm so fortunate that the place that I thought I worked for is the place that I work for, and that the exit's great. And just because I'm doing this, friends, that doesn't mean you should quit your jobs. That doesn't mean you should leave your companies. Don't be a lemming. Don't follow me just because I'm doing this. This is not what I am here to tell you. I'm here to tell you about the decision I made, why I made it, how I made it, and where I'm going from here, because it's important to understand in our ever-changing market where you fall in and how you can make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And again, so like, I just wasn't going to be the best at my job anymore. I've got other things going on. And so it was time for a change. If it would have been possible to just be a loan officer at the company I work for, that there would have been a really great chance of me staying and doing that. But, quite honestly, running such a large part of our organization, to just be a loan officer, I would still be plugged into all of the people, and I would still be helping them and doing all the things that, quite frankly, um, I don't want to do right now. And I want to focus on myself, and I want to focus on my company that I'm building, and focus on next level. So that's it, man. I'm opening up my own broker shop, and I'm ready to hit the ground running. And I'm able to do this because of being really honest with the company on my exit, and them allowing me to get things set up and make it roll. So, um, this decision that I've made is not for everyone. We were just having a conversation in our next level community, and it was a very good conversation, not like some of the things you're seeing on Facebook these days about banker or broker. Sell me on why it's better. I got to tell y'all, there isn't one that's better. It depends on where you are. It depends on what you need. It depends on what you know or don't know. Many of the reasons that I hear people talk about, hey, bankers better or brokers better, their reasons are actually just made up fables that they've told themselves, because the mortgage bankers and mortgage brokers, in many instances, the reason they say they're better, their counterparts and the other side of that ball has the same thing they do. I hear people talk about, well, I got all these investors if I'm a broker. Yeah, most mortgage bankers do too. And so this is a decision. If anybody decides to make this decision, to make a leap, to do something different, that you have to make with very, very thoughtfully. And one of the things that we also say in Next Level often, and I even commented on the thread in community when we were talking about it, actually just today, is whenever you make a big decision, when you're hiring somebody, when you are changing companies, thinking about going banker to broker, thinking about going broker to banker, like, you can't think about where you're going. You need to think first about what you need. You need to write out the perfect description. If it's somebody you're hiring, the perfect description of who you're hiring. If it's a change in company, what does the perfect company look like? You may think it's a banker and it's a broker. You may think it's a broker and it's a banker, but you have to write out the description of the company and what you want. And then you have to make sure that they meet your needs. There's a guy, Gottman. He is like literally wrote the book on marriage advice and counseling. And one of the things that he says is that we are incompatible in at least 10 ways from our partner. Everybody's incompatible in at least 10 ways from your partner. And if you think about that from a company standpoint, there is always something at another company that is better than your company. Hands down, it's going to be. But there's always something at that other company that's worse than what your company is. And so that's why you really have to write down what you want, because I've coached a lot of loan officers, and I've seen a lot of people be like, oh man, I got to go. This is terrible. I'm like, cool, write down everything that you need at your company. And all of a sudden it's like, oh man, these two things they don't work for me. They're not really good, but these other 20 key factors that I really need, my company crushes it at. Man, can I affect some change and make these things a little bit better? Can I overcome these small nuances? Is another company that kills it in these one or two areas going to be able to fulfill all the other things that the place I work at is great? You see, this decision that I made wasn't a decision that I made lightly. I had hours and hours of thought that went into it. And then I wrote pages and pages of notes inside of my Remarkable in it. Then I organized those into an Excel sheet to make sure that all of the factors that I was thinking about and had in place were. Then I talked to people inside of the mortgage industry that I really love and respect. My partners, Shane, Kellen, Kenneth, for some great advice and to bounce things off of. You definitely need people like that you can talk to. I also talk to confidants outside of the industry, people that know what a mortgage is and people that don't, because I trust and value their opinion. I wanted to make sure that all my blind spots that I was thinking about were covered because, man, we all have them. And especially when we get an idea in our head, especially when we decide that we want to do something, it's so easy to put on those rose-colored glasses and think that it's all perfect. There's going to be bumps in the way. I know that I've set myself up to avoid most of those. I don't. It doesn't matter any transition that you make, though. If from one company to another, from working at a company to owning your own company, whatever you do, there's going to be bumps along the way, no matter how much you plan. But if you have the right people in place, if you have the right advisors in place, and if you do the right planning, you can avoid a lot of those. And so let's go back and talk about Jack Welch again. So I'm so excited to be a loan officer. I'm so excited to talk to people and win deals. I'm so excited to educate realtors to do what I've coached so many people on doing, and the education that Next Level has provided so many people on doing, and what I've tried to get a lot of people that have worked with me to do over the years. And I'm so excited to go implement these things and show everyone how awesome our tools are when you do the work. So we are going into, so it's going to be a rough winter for some. We have less people selling houses. We have less people looking at houses. We see some of the demand slowing, but that the demand's slowing, obviously, because of interest rates and things too. I want you all to make sure, like, there's every time business slows, there's some good recruiters that come out. There's some bad recruiters that come out. There's the wolves, man. We are prey as loan officers in the industry. Your phone, and if it isn't already ringing off the hook, it's going to be. People are going to promise you the world, the sun, the moon, the stars, everything, and how perfect their company is. Listen, 20 years doing this, no company's perfect. I promise you that. And I know that for certain. I'm going to have an amazing little mortgage brokerage shop, little mortgage bank that I'm going to run. And you know what? I guarantee you something. It is not going to be perfect either. So make sure you've got your list in place. You're thinking about where you're at. Don't let somebody blow smoke. Don't chase because you're going to have a tougher winter. Don't chase something because let's just frame. Don't chase it because you're not putting in the work. Like, you don't have to have a bad winter. Go put in the work. Crush your ATMs. Meet your agents. Get belly to belly. Know your value proposition. And if you do that, you're going to have the kind of success that I'm going to have in my own world. So I'm saying here live on the podcast for you to listen to. Call me back in February, but I'm going to close 10 purchase loans in January. I'm going to go from nothing here in September to closing 10 purchase loans in January. For some of you, that's nothing. For some of you, you've never closed 10 purchase loans in your life in 1 month. But I'm just going to do the simple tools and put the tactics in place that I know I need to do to win. And then I'm going to go crush it. So, friends, please take care of yourself. Make sure that you're doing the right things to protect yourself. Don't get caught up in somebody blowing smoke. Again, just because I'm making this decision, just because you know somebody else making the decision, don't go jump off the cliff with them. Too many people die doing those bad decisions. And I want to make sure that you don't. I am Sean Zalmanoff. Thank you for being a part of our Next Level Loan Officers podcast. And you are going to want to tune in for our next podcast, because Next Level has a big announcement that we're going to share with you. Peace out, y'all.